Joining me now to talk more about the growing tensions surrounding the DPRK and its complex relationship with the United States is Georgetown University professor Raymond Tanter. Raymond, thanks for joining us and we welcome you back to the show. You know, the timing couldn't be worse for all this. How should the U.S. government proceed in trying to get this American back to the U.S. and what will it take for the DPRK to even consider a request like that?
Well, the last thing that the United States has to do is to make hostages the unit of exchange. If you seize a hostage, we'll give you an American president, eventually we'll run out of former American presidents. At the George W. Bush opening of his library, there were 4 former presidents, 2 of whom had been in North Korea negotiating the release of Americans held hostage. There have been 6 Americans since 2009 held hostage by Kim Jong-il, the father, and Kim Jong-un now, the son. You cannot get in this business of making hostages the currency of exchange between the United States and North Korea.
But sending a former U.S. president, although it seems to have worked in the past, that's not really the best answer to all this. I mean, would you consider that a last or worst case scenario situation?
Well, when you engage a former American president, you give credence, you give legitimacy to the regime in North Korea, which has there's no reason to give it that kind of legitimacy. It's a corrupt hermit kingdom. And I feel sorry for China because China's done the best it could do with respect to trying to keep a lid on the situation so that the North Koreans don't flow across the border with China. South Korea doesn't really want North Koreans to flow across that border. Japan doesn't want it either. So none of the major powers in the region want an escalation of this crisis.
But going back to this, by sending a former president, isn't that signaling that the current president or the current administration can't handle or doesn't want to even deal with what's taking place or doesn't know how to?
Well, the last thing you want is for President Barack Obama to go to North Korea and negotiate for a hostage. You might as well send Dennis Rodman, the basketball player. So American presidents cannot be used it cannot be used often because that's a major card. And Kim Jong-il is jerking America around by seizing Americans and holding them hostages. But why was the man, as Jessica said in the setup piece, what was he doing there? A tour operator who's American South Korean ancestry bringing European tourists to North Korea? Something's wrong with that story.
We have just a short amount of time left. Does the DPRK then have the upper hand in this situation, especially when the threat of launching another missile or another test looms?
Well, the DPRK is going to launch another missile as soon as it's capable of doing so. It will launch a nuclear test as soon as it's capable. Nothing we do about the hostages will result in any change in North Korean behavior.
All right, Raymond Tanter, thank you as always. We appreciate your insight.